This week I am coming to you from my sister and brother-in-law's basement. This is the place that we have called our home for almost 3 months now. I have not taped many videos from here in recent weeks, mostly because we have been putting in a lot of time and a lot of hours at the new house. Coming to you from my sister's basement is also a real life challenge because I currently have a child who is munching on popcorn across the room. I have a dog who is sitting over here on the bed next to me and a family living up above me. Could you hear some teenagers who sound like elephants? Yes. Could you hear my sister or brother-in-law yelling because they are real parents with real children? Yes. But hey, it's real life, and so I hope that all of you will understand. This week was all about painting, and it was kind of an exciting turning point for us because up until this point, everything was about destruction and tearing apart and demolition. And even though I will not say that we are completely finished with all of those things, as you will see next week, there is more demolition to come. This was the first step of the process that was actually putting things back together and putting some of our own style and some of our own taste into our new home. I am in the very fortunate position in that I have a father-in-law who actually at one time was a professional painter. That is what he did for a living. His father, who was Jonathan's grandfather, owned a painting and wallpaper hanging business. So my father-in-law from a very young age was exposed to the skill of painting. He is a phenomenal painter. And when he was in seminary and putting himself through college, he actually painted as a profession to help pay for some of those costs. So he is really good and really fast, really efficient, and he knows all of the ins and outs, what you need to do to paint well. And this guy is fast and amazing. And I think I'm gonna have to remind him that we have a YouTube channel and I have to be documenting. No, I'm just kidding. We are super thankful for everything that he's been doing because Jonathan's work has been absolutely nuts lately. And so it would take us about 2 years to move in if we didn't have him. But as you can see, Dad has started cutting in on the walls today with the gray paint. I am excited, I love it. And a lot of the ceilings are already done, but things are coming along here. Once upon a time, I was actually on a missions trip with my father-in-law when at the time he was my pastor. I was just a teenager with a crush on his son, but I watched him freehand paint a very intricate logo for the orphanage that we were working at, something that I would have had to use a stencil for or it would have looked terrible. And he just, went about his business doing his thing, and it looked so good when he was finished. I'm gonna try to get through this without being emotional, but I walked into the house this evening and I'm just feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. I was treated unkindly earlier today, and I don't know why I'm taking it so personally. I don't know why I'm letting it bother me so much, but a person made me feel very unimportant and very unappreciated. And it stuck with me and has been feeling heavy today. Walking into my house tonight just has helped me to shake all of that because, wow, Dad did so much today, so much painting. I don't think I can fully express how thankful Jonathan and I are. My father-in-law has been really funny throughout this process of painting because he takes a lot of pride and ownership in his work. We had a couple of friends coming over to help us one weekend, and he and I were texting back and forth, and he said, hey, so what are you guys gonna work on this weekend? And I said, I might actually delegate some of the painting to them, that way we can get through it faster. And his text response was so signature him. He was like, oh, okay, so you guys are gonna do painting? Well, just make sure if they're gonna help you with painting, they're using the right nap rollers, the right brush, make sure they do a really great job because, if they don't do it right, we're gonna be able to tell that. I responded back to him, I said, okay, I can kind of get the sense that maybe you would like to continue on with your painting here, so what else do you suggest that I tell them to do? He gave me a list of things. He was laughing through it all. He's like, I know I'm being fussy, but I just wanna make sure that you guys have the best finish and the best possible painted walls when we're done. I really caught up with the painter this week.
You did?
No, you!
You caught...
So how many hours do you think you've been here this week?
Probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, right. Let's revise that answer.
Quite a few. 4 or 5.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna say by the end of today, it's almost 30 hours this week.
Maybe.
Well, we appreciate it more than you know. Not a bad view behind you, right?
Totally awesome.
He does have a job that fortunately allows for a great bit of flexibility because he is a realtor and he does put in a lot of hours, but sometimes those hours are smashed into a day or 2 of the week, which does allow him to have open spots, and he has been filling those hours here in our house, doing more than we could ever ask of him and more than we could ever repay him for. So thank you, Dad. It isn't just Dad though. We have felt very fortunate and sincerely blessed to have spent so many hours recently with some of the people that we love most. The conversations that we are having, the laughter that we are sharing, the things that we are accomplishing together, it's all a very bonding experience. And I love that at the end of this project, when our renovation is complete and when this house is a home, there are going to be so many people that have had a hand in it and who were a part of it, who can look at paint on a wall and say, I did that, who can look at cabinets that were assembled and say, hey, I put that one together, who can look at the floor and say, oh, I remember cutting that board, that one was impossible. I love that we have received so much support and we are so grateful for it. Wish me luck. I'm gonna be painting here with some little girls. Can you guys stay over to the side? We're gonna do one person at a time, okay? Another thing that has been so encouraging to Jonathan and I throughout this process is how much involvement so many of these little people want to have. There is, I feel like, a common stereotype with kids and with teenagers these days that they are lazy and just want to be on their screens and don't want to help. And that is not the experience that we have encountered throughout this process. And it has been so uplifting to see not only our own children want to help, want to have their hands in the process, want to get dirty, want to get covered in paint, but to see their friends and their cousins also want to do the same. Yes, I will admit and acknowledge that sometimes letting kids help can be a challenge because sometimes it means that the process is going to take a little bit longer, or sometimes it might mean that the process is not going to be completed as meticulously or perfectly, but all of that is good and all of that is okay to me. Dad was kind enough to leave the closets for my own finishing and for the finishing of the kids. He knew that the kids really, really wanted to help with painting. And so I said to him, hey, how about I let them help me with the closets? And he was like, that is a perfect idea. So the kids were very happy to help me with that. So painting the inside of the house is definitely one of our top priorities before we move from our current home, which is here, into the property and start living there full time. Here, where we're at right now, we don't have a shower and we don't have a kitchen that we have regular access to. Of course, we have those things upstairs if and when we need them, but we have been trying to minimize our neediness and our intrusion on my sister and brother-in-law's lives. But because we're already living without a lot of the common things that people expect to have in a home, we can move into our new house pretty soon, pretty quickly. And my best estimate at this point is that in the next week or 2, we probably will be taking that leap.
Right now, Daddy is power washing.
So painting, as I mentioned, was one of our top priorities. We also wanted to start thinking about painting the outside of the house. Even though that is not a need to do project, it is something that we would really like to do, and that is temperature and weather sensitive. You can't paint the exterior of your home all year long because temperatures can be too hot and humid, and they can also be too cold where your paint will not cure properly. September and October in Pennsylvania tend to be very good times, probably some of the best times of the year, honestly, when it comes to painting. One of the important steps in preparing the house to be painted is to power wash. So I'm a little bit of a dictator when it comes to getting things done. My husband is currently supposed to be power washing, and I do not hear the power washer on, so I'm coming out here to inspect and make sure that he's not being lazy and slacking. Following the hose, there appears to be a runaway Arlo in the field. This doesn't look like power washing.
What?
This doesn't look like power washing.
I'm getting set up.
Uh-huh.
Checking these cracks here too.
I told everyone that I didn't hear any power washing, so I was coming out to inspect because it doesn't sound like you're doing your job. Arlo, is Daddy doing his job? Say no, he's not. Back to work, boys. Chop, chop. So yeah, it has been a busy week. Lots of painting. I will admit that I did very little of it. Most of that was accomplished by my father-in-law, and again, I am so thankful for him. Thank you so much, Dad. We are one step closer to being able to move out of the basement, and even though I love my sister and brother-in-law and staying with them has really been a gift, it has not been chaos, it has been rewarding. Even though all of it has been good, we are starting to feel that we're ready. Our stay here will be coming to an end soon. A few updates. Number one, my husband is actually doing his job now. He's out there power washing and ignoring me. He doesn't like ladders, he's afraid of heights, so that's not a fun job for him. But every time I think I'm done with this freaking ceiling, I had two little pieces. Oh wow, my hair is great today. I had two little pieces of tape in there that for some reason didn't stick. Maybe I forgot to make them wet before I put them up there. And so they were like puckering. So I had to rip them out and try to fill them in. And then every time I think I'm done nutting, I keep finding more. We are so thankful that you have chosen yet again to spend some of your time with us this week. Thank you for being a part of our family, and we will see you next week. It's over 100 degrees, so we took... That was Jonathan snoring if you heard that.